Several hours after the Viltrumite attack, the war against the Viltrumites has come to an end. In the last 24 hours, the coalition has received reports from every planet. The majority of them have been abandoned by their oppressors, the Viltrumites. And now that everyone knows the coalition has Viltrumites of their own, everything has shifted in their favor. Every planet has changed sides. The question Thadeus wants answered is, where have the Viltrumites gone? Most likely they are regrouping on Viltrum. That is exactly why Thadeus wants to launch a counterattack. They need to hit them before they have time to plan anything. They are going to march into Viltrumite territory and destroy them. For this, Thadeus has assembled an elite team, the strongest of the strongest, and they are ready to go to war. Sometime later, a battle cruiser departs from the planet. They are now heading toward Viltrum. Mark's suit has been rebuilt. Invincible finds the technology here absolutely amazing. Omni-Man finds it fascinating as well. The city has been rebuilt in less than 3 days. Nolan genuinely enjoys living there. Invincible asks his father whether after all of this, he is going to stay and live here. Nolan has not made that decision yet. The only thing he knows is that he cannot return to Earth. But for now, he is not thinking too much about it. He is focused on the present. Mark is afraid of the present. He is scared. Fighting Conquest was one thing, but facing dozens of Viltrumites is something else entirely. He does not think he is going to come out of this alive. This battle is going to be extremely difficult. The only thing Nolan can tell them is that this is what war is. At that moment, Oliver arrives and asks about Space Racer. Nolan had been speaking with him, and the alien promised to catch up with them later. He had to pick something up first. Mark asks what that something is, but for now, it would be too complicated to explain. That is why Nolan is going to leave it as a surprise. Suddenly, Thadeus arrives in the room to inform them that they will be arriving in a few minutes. It is time for one last meeting. Invincible asks if there's any way to turn back. And even though Thadeus doesn't think he is joking, he really is not. After the briefing, the team heads out into space. Invincible asks why they are not going in the ship. Thadeus responds that the planet Viltrum is a monument. The only reason the Viltrumites have returned there is because it is heavily fortified with defenses. If they approach in a ship, they will attract far too much attention. This is the first time Invincible has ever seen Viltrum. The rings surrounding the planet are artificial. They are composed of the bodies of those Viltrumites who fell to the Scourge virus. Thadeus tells him that this is a monument to sacrifice. That is why the planet is essentially a tomb. There is nothing left of the Viltrum that Nolan once knew, but they must prepare themselves because there are dangers ahead. What they do not know is that inside these rings, living Viltrumites are hiding, and as the coalition team approaches the planet, Thadeus is attacked from behind. The Viltrumite known as Anissa is disgusted that Thadeus is here. He is a traitor. At that moment, Battle Beast attacks the Viltrumite. He wants more fighting and less talking. Nolan thinks that Battle Beast alone might be enough to handle Anissa. The rest need to prepare for the combat ahead, because right in front of them, Thragg is waiting with all of the surviving Viltrumites. The regent informs all enemies of the Empire to prepare to die. Thadeus gives them some last-minute advice. The Viltrumites outnumber them. They need to move from opponent to opponent quickly and not allow themselves to be overwhelmed. Thaddeus wishes Space Racer were here. He is very fast. And miraculously, Space Racer arrives with company. He has managed to capture several Ragnar, creatures that are capable of killing Viltrumites. Between these creatures and Space Racer's gun, this battle has just become a much more level playing field. Thragg begins to watch as his people are devoured by the Ragnars and urges his fellow Viltrumites to escape and evade them. Anissa takes advantage of the moment to attack Nolan. She cannot believe he betrayed them this way, sharing all of the Viltrumites' weaknesses with the coalition, but even so, she tells him it will not be enough. On another part of the battlefield, Tech Jacket is firing his new toxin missiles, but a Viltrumite manages to grab him from behind. However, Alan rushes in and with a single blow sends the Viltrumite's head flying. More enemies begin closing in on Alan, but this time the Anopan does not hold back his strength and begins to tear them apart one by one. Invincible and Oliver are also fighting multiple opponents. The Viltrumites are underestimating Oliver, and this enrages him so much that he delivers a devastating blow to one of them. Thragg watches as his forces begin to fall, but still urges his fellow Viltrumites, for the glory of the Empire, to not give in and not to question his words. Suddenly, Invincible comes face to face with Thragg himself. Thragg observes from a distance and orders someone to stop Invincible, but Mark delivers a powerful punch to his stomach, a punch that is quickly countered by the regent. Mark stood no chance. Oliver, seeing that his brother is in danger, leaps at Thragg. However, the regent grabs him by the arm. He has been listening to Oliver's taunts and finds them quite amusing. He even has one for Thragg himself, and then delivers a blow to Oliver so devastating that it tears off his arm and shatters his jaw. From the distance, Nolan watches the tragedy unfold. Invincible, who is nearby, can no longer hold himself back and launches himself at Thragg, but no matter how many blows he rains down in revenge, all he manages to do is draw a few drops of blood from Thragg. The regent finds this insulting. Even Conquest feared him, but Invincible does not fear Conquest. He reveals to Thragg that he was the one who killed the elder. The Viltrumite soldiers are stunned. Nolan reaffirms what his son said. Mark killed Conquest, and none of those present are stronger than that elder. This information distracts the Viltrumites, and Thadeus wants to use this moment to do something. Thadeus gathers all of the coalition soldiers, and as a group they begin flying towards a single point. Thadeus gives Space Racer the order to fire at the center. Following this unstoppable shot, the coalition soldiers fly directly into Viltrum planet. The impact is so powerful that they manage to destroy the Viltrumite homeworld. Earthquakes shake the ruins of the Empire. Nothing is left standing, and the ones responsible are the traitors, Nolan, Thadeus, and Mark. As the planet implodes in space, the battle continues. No one can let their guard down or they will be killed. Soon, everyone is caught in the shockwave of the planet's implosion. The lifeless bodies that made up Viltrum's rings are sent flying through space like projectiles, striking every combatant in the field. Mark manages to spot his brother in the distance and flies towards him to recover his body. Meanwhile, his companions begin to recover. Thadeus delivers an ultimatum. This is over. The planet Viltrum no longer exists. They have nowhere to run. The entire universe is against them. The only thing Thragg can do is surrender. For his part, the regent sheds tears for his fallen planet. The leader of the Viltrumites now stands before the leader of the coalition. He blames Thadeus for everything that has happened. Because of Thadeus, the Viltrumites lost their entire heritage, their home, their history, and the Empire will not tolerate this without retribution. Thadeus explains to Thragg that he no longer has an empire. He needs to surrender. The regent does not know the meaning of that word. He launches himself at Thadeus, grabs the old man by the head, and tears it off. And with the decapitated head of the coalition leader in his hands, he declares revenge for Lord Argal, the true and legitimate king of the Viltrumites. Nolan and Alan are left completely stunned by what has just happened, and even more so by what follows. Thragg destroys Thadeus' skull. The battle has been absolute chaos. Battle Beast floats unconscious in space. Invincible weeps for his fallen brother. Nolan and Alan prepare themselves for what is coming. Thragg and the remaining surviving Viltrumites regroup, because according to the regent, they're next. Thragg initiates combat and launches himself at Invincible, but Mark manages to counter. He is furious. Thragg killed his brother. However, Invincible's blows do nothing to the regent. Thragg grabs him by the throat. The regent is enraged. He has lost his planet. He has lost his history, his legacy. Mark destroyed his own heritage. The Viltrumites had planned to return to Viltrum triumphant once all of their numbers had been restored. Thragg has not taken anything from Mark, but Invincible has stolen the future of an entire race. That is why his death will be the first. However, Nolan intervenes and strikes the regent. He tells him to surrender, but Thragg has words for Nolan too. He is also greatly responsible for what has happened, for allying himself with the great traitor Thadeus. The reason their betrayal was kept secret, the reason Thadeus changed sides in the first place, is because Thadeus murdered Lord Argal. He caused the fall of the Empire. He killed Argal before he could ascend to the throne. He also created the Scourge virus, which robbed the Viltrumites of any hope of finding a true heir to Argal. To all of this, Nolan responds that he is not the man he once was. After witnessing everything that has happened, he feels that his people deserve extinction for what they have done. But Thragg has no intention of extinction, and for everything Nolan has done to his people, he is going to die. Suddenly, Battle Beast re-enters the battle, attacking Thragg, but the regent grabs him by the neck and hurls him away like he was nothing. On another part of the battlefield, Alan is being beaten down by a squad of Viltrumites. Fortunately, Battle Beast intervenes in the fight, giving Alan a few seconds to recover. Tech Jacket has also been defeated and can barely keep himself awake. a Viltrumite interrupts Alan's rest, attacking him hard. But once again, the Anopan is saved. A shot from Space Racer pierces one of the Viltrumites. In the chaos, Racer grabs his friend by the leg and pulls him away. It is time to retreat, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. Someone still wants to go back and look for Mark and Nolan, but Space Racer has no intention of staying any longer. They are being outnumbered and outpowered. This all has been a disaster. If they don't leave now, everyone is going to die. Space Racer grabs Tech Jacket as well and begins pulling him through space. This is the most sensible decision. Nolan and Mark will have to manage on their own. The remaining Viltrumites begin searching for Thragg, but he is very occupied. He is facing both father and son. Invincible asks how they are supposed to defeat him, but Nolan has no answer. The only reason Thragg was named regent is because he was trained from birth, molded to be the most powerful among them, educated in every form of combat. There is no way for them to defeat him on their own. Thragg moves at full speed and seizes both father and son, confirming everything Nolan just said. In these final moments, Nolan confesses to Mark that no matter what he ever said, he always loved him.
Despite initially thinking that love made him weaker, it was actually what made him stronger. And then Nolan kicks Thragg's hand, freeing his son. Nolan begs him to please escape, and although he does not want to, Invincible begins flying away at full speed. But Thragg had already anticipated this. Thanks to his extraordinary speed, he quickly catches up to Invincible. Thragg promises to turn Invincible into a bloody mass of entrails before combining their fates. But he soon changes his mind. The Regent turns and attacks Nolan at full speed. And although Nolan is on the verge of death, his only concern is for his son. That is why, while he is still alive, Thragg plans to take away one of the things he loves most. The Regent grabs Mark by the head and begins to apply pressure. However, for just a moment, he hesitates. The surviving Viltrumites ask why he is hesitating. Despite Thragg's immense rage and desire for vengeance, he needs every remaining Viltrumite alive. That is why he is going to grant Nolan and Mark their lives, though Mark does not want to accept this. They need Viltrumites loyal to their cause, not to Nolan and Mark. That is why Anissa launches into combat, but the Regent stops her instantly. If the Viltrumites want to survive, they are going to need Mark and Nolan. Time passes, and father and son have been floating in space until they are finally discovered by the Coalition. The ship commander picks them up and sets a course for Telescria. Much later, Invincible wakes up in a bed. By his side is Alan. The Unipan had been worried about his friend. During the battle, he broke his arm and is still wearing a cast. Mark wants to know how long he was unconscious. Alan tells him, 2 weeks. He was in terrible shape. During those 2 weeks, Alan was promoted to the highest rank. He is the chief now. Thadeus died and the Coalition fell into disarray, which is why they named him the leader of everything. So technically, from now on, Invincible should refer to him as Grand Alan, but the Unipan finds this title incredibly ridiculous, though the pay is very good. Invincible congratulates Alan and then asks about his father. Alan tells him that Nolan woke up a few days ago and is now lying beside his other son, waiting for him to recover. Mark cannot believe that Oliver is still alive. No one explains that the Viltrumite brain can survive without oxygen for a long period of time, but he believes the genetic component from his mother also helped keep him alive. Invincible cannot believe that Oliver is regenerating. Nolan also explains that this is Telescrian technology. The solution in which Oliver is submerged enhances his regenerative abilities. If his healing continues at this rate, in 1 week, he will be ready to begin physical rehabilitation. It may take time for him to regain his full strength, but at least he is alive. Suddenly, Tech Jacket arrives with a report for Alan. No Viltrumites have been detected on any of the planets. They have stopped their attack. They have completely disappeared since the battle. Since Viltrumites can only travel short distances, Alan has placed outposts on various planets, but none of these posts have detected any Viltrumites. The Unipan does not understand how this is possible. None of it makes sense. They have checked every planet in the Coalition and found nothing. Suddenly, a feeling of dread washes over Mark. Thragg left them alive for a reason. There is no way the Viltrumites would have surrendered. Invincible and Nolan destroyed their planet, and Thragg was ready to kill them. He could have done it, but he most likely thought of a more painful way to take his revenge. Invincible thinks they cannot find the Viltrumites because they are not in this galaxy. The Viltrumites are on Earth. And that is everything for today's episode, friends. The Viltrumite war has ended, but Thragg and his army are on Earth, and this will cover the next episode. If you want episode 7 to drop early, go down to the comments right now and drop a comment. The more comments we get, the sooner the next video goes up. Also, make sure you are subscribed and have the bell turned on so you do not miss a single chapter of Invincible Season 4 comic narration.